Speaking of AI, as AI and blockchain technologies converge, new possibilities for innovation emerge. Let's explore how blockchain can enhance AI by improving transparency, security, and data integrity. And I welcome on the stage now for our next panel, the CTO of SingularityNet, Sergey Shalapin. Big round of applause. Keep energy, let's go. Co-founder of Mission Labs, Kostas Chakias. Yay. Fantastic. Head of AI ML technology practice at Google Cloud EMA, Tiago Henriquez. Yay. Co-founder of Delcium, Jerry Z. Yeah. Founder of Akash Network, Greg Osuri. And the moderator, the very famous, back on stage, the general partner of BR Capital, Vlad Martinov. Big round of applause for a wonderful panel. Fantastic.
Hello, everybody, again. Welcome to our panel. And we're going to talk about AI and blockchain, which is quite interesting topic for me, and I guess for most of you guys, because this is too disruptive technology and there are a lot of discussions, researches, which is predict a lot of good things if this technology merge together and improve each other, by the way. So, but first I'd like my guests today to introduce themselves and highlight briefly how they related either to AI or blockchain. Sergey, let's start from you first.
Hello, everyone. I'm Sergey Shalepin, CEO of SingularityNet. SingularityNet started AI-dedicated platform in 2017 after long research and development on AGI technology, which is artificial general intelligence. It is kind of specific hard-boiled tech stack for distributed and complex AI systems. And still, we're progressing from that point in time, developing the platform and the AI. And it's really interesting. So I guess we'll get deeper later. That's enough for introduction. Yeah. Thank you.
I can go next. So I'm Kostas Cryptos. I used to work at Facebook for about 3 years. I was part of the Libra project. I actually created all of the cryptographic stack there. And I'm in the crypto space since the very beginning. Like, imagine I got my PhD on cryptography. By profession, I'm a cryptographer, like the nerd here, probably. On 2010, pretty much when the Bitcoin actually became like alive. So some of my algorithms are used in the space since then. And now I'm the co-founder and the chief cryptographer at Mission Labs that we're building SUI and Walrus. SUI is the blockchain and Walrus is the storage layer. And I'm mainly doing like crazy stuff, hacking also, Ethereum, Solana, and all of the other stack as a white hat hacker, like helping the community. And I'm here mostly for innovation. On the AI, I used to be a trader before. I was hacked, and because I was hacked, I learned cryptography to not be hacked again.
Hello, good afternoon. I'm Tiago. Pleasure to be here with you. I think it's the second or third year in a row, depends how you count, without the rain from last time. So good to be back here. Thanks for the invite. So I work in Google, specifically in Google Clouds. And I have the pleasure to lead the fantastic technical team of artificial intelligence specialists. So myself and my team, we work with some of our most strategic customers, primarily large enterprises, up to sometimes strategic startups across different industries. And our goal is really to help those companies to adopt our portfolio of different AI solutions. Of course, these days we live in a generative AI that I'm sure we'll talk about, and just make sure that they can adapt them for different use cases, including, of course, Web3 and the other ones that we'll talk through today. Thanks for having me.
Thanks.
Hey guys, this is Jerry from Delisium. So basically, our team has been doing AI for a very long time ago. So initially, we built up a company that was acquired by Baidu, the Chinese version of Google, and then we later, get supported from Y Combinator, and do a lot of things related with AI. And right now, we are trying to build probably the best AI assistant in crypto. We are probably using the very similar mentality of teaming up with AI to make us have a better life, to enable those AI to be able to, communicate, collaborate with each other, to helping us to dealing with our, let's say some, use cases like online shopping or making an appointment for you. So initially, just to building a very good portal for human to interact with AI. That will be everything we are building now. Thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah.
My name is Greg. I'm one of the founders of Akash Network. Akash is the world's first decentralized supercloud. And a supercloud, like the name suggests, connects cloud-capable compute as a supercluster and enables hard-to-reach compute, such as GPUs, to come to a market in a permissionless and a decentralized manner. Today, Akash is a leading provider for GPU accelerated compute, powering companies like NVIDIA, and more importantly, powering the decentralized AI training as well as inference, and growing one of the fastest growing networks as well. So I'm super excited to be on this panel.
Thank you guys for introduction. And my first question I'd like to address to you, Tiago. I don't know why. Maybe because you're in the middle, maybe because you are the only one who represent the big high-tech corporations, which is not from crypto. But my first question will be, how do you see the most promising user case where blockchain can enhance AI, and specifically in the data security, or vice versa, where AI can enhance blockchain?
Okay, thanks. It's a great question. I'm not sure if we have a lot of time for that. So I'll start from a short view. I think first, when it comes to AI, as I mentioned in my intro briefly, I think it's very important that we are aware that we live right now in a different era of AI. AI has been around for a long time, but since last year and a half, 2 years, it really accelerates thanks to generative AI capabilities. So I think a lot of the things are still being figured out. I think that's a fair point. We just chatted about that before going on the stage. So I think it's some of the most cutting edge and innovative companies and startups, probably some of you here, and for sure some of the panelists sitting here with me, are starting to leverage that. Okay, so our take when we work with these kind of companies, of course, let them build scalable systems with infrastructure from scratch, and then leverage most of these AI capabilities, which comes primarily in either training their machine learning models from scratch, or built on top of some of those foundational models, such as Gemini, that Google built and deployed for internally, for external companies, or open models that are out there that are quite promising. So that's one of the start. When it comes to specifically some of the use cases there, I think there's few areas there. The first one is, of course, slightly traditional but still very valid, which is look at the data that we have, because, of course, Web3 really relies on data. So make sure that we can leverage those techniques to be able to do, of course, BI, but more these days we are able to talk with the data. So we are able to use natural language query and ask how can we perform or ask a question there. Second one that we see quite often is more at the infrastructure level. So typically when you have a blockchain running in several nodes, of course, things might go down, might fail. So it's really getting those logs and being able to do either predictive maintenance or detect the errors and the root cause for that. So those are two of them. I really think that now with large language models, we're going to see a lot more powerful ones. The last one is kind of when you bring your own data, which can be, again, historical data transactions, to kind of fine-tune that large language model, and that really opens a new world of use cases. So that's my short version of that.
Thanks. Anybody wants to add to what Tiago mentioned? Jerry?
I can add something, because we're working with Google on this. We're using AI to find bugs on smart contracts. This is super important because technical, especially with all of the bridging and all of the stuff that is happening in a multi-chain world, it's almost impossible for single developers, single people to find bugs in a very complex situations of moving funds between two different or three more different systems.
So you're talking about security checks,
security checks, but not only that. They
economic
can even
model audit. Right?
Soft audits before you go to the real auditor. Imagine that literally in our team, we identified some central exchanges that they were using a proof of solvency algorithm that was not correct.
Yeah.
Right. We also found some $1 million attacks on some Ethereum smart contracts. A human couldn't find these things because you can create bots now, and now with the help of AI that is learning from all of the previous data and constant training. In our case, by the way, we have a RAG on top of Gemini. It was super helpful to identify attacks before they really happen in life.
Yeah, I think what Kostas says is very important, particularly for investors, which I know a larger group of you guys are investing in the crypto, and particularly not tech-savvy guys to understand where is the backdoor of the founders or scammers like built into the smart contracts, AI can play a very good role to identify these backdoors and prevent you from losing money.
100%. And the nice thing, actually, I would mention here, one of the best prompts to make the AI being very good at security threats identification was threatening the AI. We were threatening Gemini and ChatGPT. You are fired if you don't find a bug in this smart contract. And somehow, I mean, out of a sudden, it provided some crazy tips and some crazy solutions to bugs. Yeah. I was super surprised, even personally.
I promise we didn't agree before getting on the stage that you talk about Gemini. I didn't know. Fantastic. It's a very good use case. We saw a lot of cybersecurity use cases building out of top of all those LLMs.
Jerry, do you want to add something? Because you are probably
for sure.
one of the most advanced guy who deal with practical user cases.
Yeah, honestly. So basically, like few days ago, when I was about to to get boarding, I just opened my phone to buy some gold. That token was generated by AI. The meme coin is probably the most popular or hot token recently. So I think actually I discussed a lot with my team and say, how do you just consider this or what do you think the future will be? So basically there are 2 points of view. So the first view is like, okay, this is the new way to issue the assets, which is pretty degenerate, right? And the second way is, okay, we should treat AI as the same level or treat them similar with us as the digital natives for the space, which going to change your mindset to consider how the whole crypto world going to be built for. I think personally I prefer the second one because in general I think blockchain is pretty complex. It is pretty complex for our community to use because you need to check the gas, you need to check any code to prepare everything before you want to make any transactions. So I think well, it is not I'm not the only person who had this mentality in our team. So basically we think AI currency is crypto. So like say there's only 3 coins in this world, right? Bitcoin, USDT, USDC, and fiat, and those meme coins, right? So basically, as long as AI can use this coin to make communication transactions, that'll be a super new world for them specifically. So in this way, the way how we're going to interact with AI is a very good question for us. So we need a very good UI UX to make us to know how they're going to work with. Maybe some workflows on blockchain because every steps are quite fixed, or maybe let's say canvas-based interactions to enable users to see the whole, or let's say to visualize the whole process that the AI is going to collaborate with humanity, right? And probably the next step would be probably we need to have a new financial infrastructure or system to enable those AI or AI agents to have their bank account. Because as long as you want them to helping you to do some online shopping, or you wanted to make an appointment, you want those AI agents to take care of the majority of things of your life, you need to allow your AI agents to interact with your assets in your wallet. But right now, all the KYC system is built for humanity. Those bots are pretty banned. Even we are playing games, those bots are not welcome like that. So initially, so we were thinking about if we wanted to support these things to be happening, at least we need to have a, let's say, KYA or something like that. Know your AI, know your agents. So I think in general, there are a lot of future landscapes for us to do it to build. But recently, I have to say I really love Go because I heard a lot, something like that.
Yeah. Thanks. Sergey, I'd like to ask you a question about, we talk about user cases, but I assume there is a lot of challenges to integrate AI and blockchain. What do you think? What are the key challenges in integrating those?
Elementary AIs and co-contribute in the whole network production. Building AI architectures and pipelines on the fly. For downstream task solving, maybe sometimes for general task solving. So that was the first idea. And in that sense, AI becomes just a billing layer. Can it be a billing layer? Yeah, definitely. That's more or less straightforward. Now we have much better blockchains, in fact, much faster blockchains. Now we can deal with micro operations, and that's just becoming simpler. Now we can hold files, and we can carry specific internal information just within the blockchain itself. It might be quite compact, but right now AI itself is becoming much more complex. It's evolved from elementary downstream task solvers via huge generative AI AIs with the models with trillions of parameters, which are really hard to fine-tune and manage somehow. They just work. I mean, the largest ones. It evolves to quite complex architectures right now, to narrow symbolic compositions, which operate different layers of memory, which have dynamic workloads, which combine neural memory with symbolic algorithms. And it's becoming more and more complex. And in fact, blockchain needs to focus on how to supply this type of hybrid and dynamic workloads. And the most interesting here is working with smart contract languages, maybe. So these new generations of AI, which are much closer to AGI in terms of performance, and which are more or less narrow symbolic AI architectures in terms of technical description. They can deal with smart contracts which operate declarative knowledge and procedural knowledge at the same time, and we can have it in the body of smart contract. That's the most interesting thing. The second thing maybe is building knowledge layers for downstream task solving and distilling this knowledge, so coming from data paradigm to knowledge paradigm, and that just opens a really wide avenue for the blockchain, how to deal with this distilling knowledge for variety of use cases. That's a task for the network, task for the community. So we can build communities based on blockchains and leverage blockchain billing for this. And that will be really beneficial for this new family of AI algorithms, which are much more complex and dynamic.
Okay.
So maybe these two use cases are the most important and promising to me.
Okay, thanks. Greg, I'd like to ask one question which probably directly relates what you do. AI relies heavily on large data sets, and how can decentralized storage solution based on blockchain like such as Akash, for example, or IPFS, enable secure, scalable access to these data sets?
So Akash is a compute network, not a storage network. Akash is the most widely used compute network for AI. I mean, in terms of revenue, in terms of growth, I think our year-over-year growth has been 1,700%. And Akash is the only blockchain, computational blockchain used by NVIDIA. We're integrated directly into NVIDIA products. I don't think people realize how important decentralized systems are to training and inference. Until about 3 weeks ago, the general notion of training was you needed co-located high bandwidth GPUs, in the sense GPUs located in a single area connected in a low latency setting in order to do any meaningful training. That was broken. So two innovative technologies that came into play. One is called Distro by News Research that demonstrated you could do a billion parameter model, completely train them over the internet, over heterogeneous GPUs. That means you don't need the same type of GPUs, but rather you can have AMDs and Intels and even and NVIDIAs obviously come together on the internet and train, and this is phenomenal. And second demonstration we had was by Prime Intellect that demonstrated that they are currently training a 10 billion parameter model in a low bandwidth, high latency setting. And that is a remarkable achievement for AI because, considering the state-of-the-art models, about 2 years ago, 10 billion was the state-of-the-art model, right? So we are getting very close, and the reason why you need distributed training is such. If you think about the power needs, we are growing at a half an order of magnitude every year. So the GPT-3 was trained on 10 megawatt capacity, and Grok, the next version of Grok, or GPT-4, next version, 4.5 in fact, is being trained on a 50 megawatt capacity. I mean, there is not a single grid that can give you 50 megawatt. So Grok is literally being trained in Memphis by Elon Musk by burning diesel. And the next year, we're going to need 250 megawatt capacity. And year after is 1.2 gigawatts. And that's a nuclear reactor. US is not going to build nuclear reactors in 3 years. The only way to advance AI is to do distributed training. And also, if you look at the current landscape, most compute is spread across. Not a single company has a lot of compute. I mean, you, being Google, you understand how hard it is to get compute from Jensen Huang. I mean, like, they're literally giving money to NVIDIA. It's impossible to get large amounts of compute, and also the power, right? It's very, very hard to get large quantities of power. So the only way to advance AI is distributed training and distributed inference, right? On heterogeneous clusters, and that's happening very quickly. And how do you bring people that don't know each other to come and coordinate? What data structures do we have that is practical today that can bring, well, blockchains, right? So Akash now has about 71 providers, all the way from crypto companies like Foundry to data centers and a whole lot of small data centers with like 1,000 or 4,000 H100 capacity. That may not be like connected in the most optimal way, but still can participate in this training. By the way, News Research, which did the billion parameter model with Distro, and Prime Intellect, which is doing the 10 billion parameter, all are trained today on Akash. So Akash is in the forefront of decentralized training, and next is going to be a 100 billion parameter model, and that's going to be maybe 6 months away, and after that it's going to be 500 billion parameter model, which is state of the art, and a trillion is very likely too. So AI needs crypto so much so that they don't even know how much they need it. And we are right now demonstrating that's possible, and the future for AI is decentralized. And Akash works really well. I mean, the way we solve the speed and the latency is by developing better clients and better experiences. Like today, Akash is, if you go to NVIDIA Brev and you try to do a fine-tuning job on Akash, you'll see the experience is extremely smooth. You wouldn't even realize there's a blockchain behind it. So it's not the complications that we have with integrating, it's just the experiences and the need that's driving this adoption. It's going to continue to do so.
Well, thanks a lot. You touched so much, so important point, like, because quite often I'm asked as a partner of investment fund, where is the next big thing in crypto, right? And I think AI in particular, the notion that decentralized infrastructure is the next big thing. We did quite a lot of research in our fund and actually assessment of potential investment opportunities beginning of this year and at the end of last year, where it was a kind of, not a hype, but very big interest to AI type of projects. Exactly, yeah. So, and in sometimes, from technical point of view, we see like a kind of product market fit. But from economics point of view, because the whole thing was like not only just make it possible, but reduce the cost of infrastructure. Economics didn't really kind of get together, so it's not straightforward. So I'd like you guys to elaborate a little more on a Greg point, and how do you see the overall solution and challenges in terms of decentralized infrastructure and addressing the issues Greg mentioned.
Right. So one of the big ways to reduce costs is heterogeneity. So right now, homogeneous is the only way to train, at least large clusters. But if we can get a heterogeneous compute, in the sense like, doesn't matter what maker of the chip, what the maker of the chip is, but if that chip can participate in a larger network, right? So be it NVIDIA or be it Sony, and PlayStations at home are very powerful computers, but they cannot now participate in training because of latency and the homogeneous requirements. So breaking that down is a fundamental aspect, and developing technologies that can reach these places, and places like a home, for example, and it's going to be decentralized technologies that are going to reach homes, right? So.
Yeah. Sergey, you want to add something?
Yeah. That's a really good point about bringing heterogeneous distributed supercomputing as a kind of the next standard for novel models. But I would just like to augment this with the architecture change, because we start to think and start to implement heterogeneous compute, open networks, making it practical, but we're still thinking in monolithic workloads. And workloads themselves are always will go far from monolithic really soon. So I see from my point of view a disrupt in architectures, and that workloads for real AI, we are talking mostly about machine learning and ML operations right now. We are talking in terminology of training and inference of memory models, and that's it. But real AI, not machine learning setups, would be much more complex. And some of the information could be distilled and could be shared for the future, and we will need compute anymore to recompute the same computational path. And we'll need to operate graphs. We will need to operate life cycles of smaller models, which need to be fine-tuned in a schedule, in a loop. We'll have AI in the loops, we'll have human in the loops. So we can talk long about this, but generally we will have heterogeneous compute, heterogeneous supercomputing of completely non-monolithic and dynamic workloads, which like change everything.
Anybody else?
If I can also add something, we're talking a lot about training, but especially the blockchain is also providing the element of transparency. We need to know that something came from an AI and not by a human who just changed something, right? I personally seen this issue happening because people were using heterogeneous GPUs, and because the arithmetic model was slightly different, the same prompt was giving different results from the same model in different computers, or even different models. And it's impossible on the blockchain to have a consensus. Okay, let's assume that this was like a voting scheme and the AI is voting on something. Now, is this coming from an AI? Or it's coming from a human who affected the result of the AI? And there is where cryptography can help, right? I believe there are models now where there will be consensus even on the responses on the verifiability of AI, and there is also even the randomness plays a role. Sometimes, like, we need to get from the blockchain the unexpected randomness, imagine the next block of Bitcoin or something else, to ensure that it's seeded the same way in all of the machines that are responding. And then let's assume we're getting a threshold result, like 3 out of 5 said that this CryptoKitty was evolved this way, then we accept it. And this is a problem. I've seen many situations of AI being, they're trying to have the blockchain getting AI oracles inside, but it's not verifiable, it's not transparent. So we will see zero knowledge proofs, we will see some tech on the crypto space that will help AI to be more transparent. And obviously digital signatures, right? Someone who is posting like a result from Gemini or ChatGPT on Twitter, how do you know it's real?
Mm-hmm.
There is no way, right? There is no way. Someone can just change something and then you can affect the elections.
Mm-hmm. With blockchain, we can confirm authenticity.
Of course,
and real identity. This is not a fake. This is really true. Yeah. Tiago, you want?
I just want to pick briefly on one word that was said here, which was the word distill. So, of course, training and inference are two very different worlds, and there's a lot of projections how over the years, with the advancements of AI, inference is going to be even more important and more high scale. One of the things that we actually put out there in our managed service called Vertex to deploy any kind of LLMs is something that there's a model distillation. Without getting too technical, the idea is that when you have a big model, you really don't need all that information. So you can create a smaller model that just answers your business-specific questions, and then that will be much lighter and faster at inference time. Okay, and we really expect also over time that other fine-tuning techniques keep evolving and being more cost-performance efficient. So I think there's a lot of evolution in that space very fast.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, guys. We need to wrap up and let's do a final closure remarks round and try to answer the question like, what is the next big thing for the next 3 years? Because a part of the audience are builders, a part of the audience investors. What the builders should start building and where investors should invest to. Sergey, you go first.
Not only model destination, but knowledge destination, and distill explicit knowledge governance done by distributed blockchain networks.
I will talk about the startup I want to see. I want a smarter wallet than me. Literally helping me on fighting attacks or helping me optimize my profits, all of this stuff. AGI wallet, I'm surprised this doesn't exist yet.
Thanks.
I'll be slightly controversial. I think it's very hard to predict with accuracy what's going to happen in 3-5 years in AI, just because of the fast pace of innovation. So I'll not make a statement there. I would say the thing that I see more exciting these days, and I think it's going to have impact on we use AI, is something called agents. We don't have a lot of time to talk about that, but that's definitely really getting from A to B, as a human getting to tasks, split those tasks, have small agents that are a piece of software collaborating, specializing to get to an outcome, and that I think will transform a lot of the business processes, and you'll see a lot on that space. We are very early days on the agents, but very promising.
Actually, I agree with you. 5 years, completely unpredictable. Maybe 2 years time frame, it's more or less okay.
And so in general, I think there will be like a spectrum. Like the right side is more infrastructure oriented, and the left side is more user-oriented applications. Yeah, exactly. So basically, I think if you want to just push forward to make everyone just enjoy the benefits or the very promoted experience of AI, not going to be aligned with our way with humanity, right? So basically, we need to actually from my perspective, that will be the best. Or the huge opportunities to facilitate the infrastructure for AI to interact with the existing financial system, to make them be able to interact with our transaction or account, something like that. That's very public opinion. But personally, I really wanted to date in with a model again, just to make it more interesting to have a better life. That's it. It's very simple. Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
So I look at the full stack, right? For AI, you need compute, you need data, and you need models. And above that, you need power, energy. And above that, you need connectivity. Without connectivity and power, there is no AI. So I don't know how many
so
of
we do
you
need
know
a
that.
nuclear reactor.
Microsoft bought a nuclear reactor. I don't know if Google is buying one, but I do know Oracle is building a few. The price of uranium went up recently. But I think, in all honesty, I think DeepIn has an incredible shot here because there are new networks that are decentralizing energy, which is very fascinating. Of course, networks that are decentralized compute, data, or even, as a matter of fact, model monetization. Like networks like BitTensor is phenomenal, right? And then we have, I guess, the whole connectivity, wireless to physical connectivity is something that's going to be much more critical in a connected world. If you think about it, 5% of global GDP will be spent on AI by 2030. And that's the prediction. 5% of global GDP. And that's not a small number.
That's a lot.
So if you want to really see where the buck is moving, I think you got to see where the AI is coming together. And that's going to be in DeepIn, in my opinion.
Well, guys, thanks a lot for the interesting discussion. Let's give a round of applause to our guest panelists. And have a great rest of the day.